Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about my most worn knits, and I've also added a few favorites that I really love but I don't wear as often. My absolute favorite is the one I'm wearing right now. It's the Peggy Sweater by Lene Holme Samsø, and I've been wearing it pretty much non-stop since I finished it about 3 years ago. I really love the fit, and the stitch patterns are quite low-key but still very noticeable. The yarn I've used is Sunday and Tin Silk Mohair, both from Sandnes Garn, one of my favorite yarn combinations. Sunday is 100% merino wool, and Tin Silk Mohair is a combination of mohair, silk and wool, and it has held up really well. You can barely see any wear, and the mohair sheds very little, maybe because it contains wool. Next up is sweater number 21 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It's actually a really simple mesh structured design, but still really beautiful. I love how it can make any outfit look just a little bit more interesting. So actually I have two versions of this sweater. The brown one is made in soft and trio, both from Garn. The yarn is really soft, but like most blow yarns, it does show wear quite easily. The other version is this gray one. It's made in a blow yarn called Handmade, held together with a strand of baby alpaca, both from a Danish yarn shop called Smiley. I wore this one a lot and it's completely worn out by now. I think it might be time to let it go. The next knit is actually my own design. It's a cardigan that I call Samcheong-dong. It's inspired by the upper part of the traditional Korean clothing, the hanbok. I moved to Seoul in 2023. Especially in the beginning, I did a lot of sightseeing, and I really love areas like Samcheong-dong where you can still find elements of old Seoul. A friend and I would walk up and down the hills exploring every corner, and that's where the idea of the cardigan started to take shape. I first started looking for the right stitch pattern, and I found one that made me think of the hills in the area. I have two versions of this cardigan. This gray blue version is made in a wool cashmere yarn called VIP or VIP from Lana Gato, held together with a strand of mohair with a silver thread for a bit of shine. So the brown version is made in a yarn called Relove Merino from Smoksack, the Danish yarn shop I mentioned earlier, and it's held together with a strand of mohair. Just a small detail that you might be wondering about. While wrap cardigans in Western culture are usually closed right over left, traditional East Asian clothing is closed left over right, where the left side represents life and the sun. Right over left is reserved for dressing the deceased for funerals. Next up is a sweater I used to wear a lot. Sweater number 17 from My Favorite Things Knitwear. I had a period maybe 4 or 5 years ago where I was really into chunky yarns and big needles or bigger needles, and this sweater was one of my favorites. I felt it was the perfect striped sweater. I knitted it using double Sunday from Sandnes Garn and pop merino from Hip Knit Shop, both held together with a strand of mohair. Honestly, both yarns didn't react well to wear, so from more or less the beginning I had to shave the sweater quite often. And as you can see, it looks quite shabby when it hasn't been shaved regularly. Since I don't wear the sweater anymore, I haven't shaved it. I wonder what to do with it though. I don't think it's worth trying to unravel it when the yarn quality isn't very good. Anyway, please let me know if you have any suggestions. Moving on to, I guess not very surprisingly, another brown sweater. This is sweater number 9, and it's again a design by My Favorite Things Knitwear. This was also made during my period of loving chunky knits, so I don't wear it much anymore, only at home if it's super cold outside and it's difficult to properly warm the apartment. But I think this fit suits broader or straight shoulders like mine really well. I really love drop shoulder sweaters though, and I rarely make raglan sweaters. Maybe I should give raglan another chance. One thing I'm not too crazy about though is the color. I think it sits a bit too high on me, but I find it a little difficult to find the perfect length on high neck colors when they're worked top down. I can't really blame the pattern for this though. Anyway, the main reason I included this sweater is that I wanted to talk about the yarn. This yarn is amazing. I mean, you can't even see that the sweater has been worn. The yarn is called Northern Lights, and it's from BC Garn, and it's 80% wool and 20% silk. And for this sweater I held it together with a strand of silk mohair from Knitting for Olive. I actually really love shiny things after seeing my most worn knits. I'm not sure anyone would believe that. So that you don't leave with the wrong impression, I've added a few colorful or shiny knits to the list. What these knits all have in common is that I absolutely love them, but since they stand out a little bit, I feel like there's a limit to how often I can wear them. Okay, so first up, this bead sweater is an absolute favorite. It took me a while to start enjoying working with beads, but when I finally got into it, I just loved it. I used the method where you put the beads on a strand of yarn first and then knit them into the fabric. It's been a while since I made this sweater, but as far as I remember, I could put around 60 beads on the strand at a time. So after knitting the 60 beads in, you break the yarn and put 60 new beads on a strand, and so on, leaving a lot of ends to weave in. Another technique is to use a small crochet hook to lock the beads separately. I tried both techniques but ended up preferring the method where you put the beads on the yarn first. If you're interested in working with beads, my main tip would be not to use beads that are too big or made of, for instance, glass or ceramics. I mean, you can use a few, but most of the beads should be small and lightweight to prevent the garment from starting to sag. When I wear it, I don't think it feels heavy, but it does weigh around 2 kilos, and that is with using mostly like smaller plastic beads. The yarn I used for this sweater is called Panilla, and it's from a yarn brand called Ficolana. I also made this beaded collar with some of the beads I had left after making the sweater. I used the same technique as for the sweater, and the yarn I used was Baby Merino from Drops Garn. This was such a fun and relaxing project compared to the sweater. I've had a thing for fringes since forever, and when I found this orange yarn on sale, I just knew I had to make an orange sweater with fringes. It's knitted in Easy Care from Mayflower, held together with a strand of mohair. The fringes are made with a combination of Easy Care and fat mohair that I had left from another project. This green sweater is knitted in hip mohair from Hip Knit Shop. I really love this color. At the time I made this, I don't think there were that many colorful mohair options, so I was really excited about Hip Knit Shop and all the colorful yarn options they have. I think the hip mohair overall has been okay. It kind of keeps the fluff after washing, which is great, but in my experience it also sheds a lot, which I don't really like. And now there are many other brands that also have colorful yarn, so I don't think I would buy this yarn again. I have a thing for smileys, especially the old school yellow one, which is the inspiration behind the sweater. Unfortunately, it's now a little tighter than when I made it, and I don't like clothes that are tightish, so I don't use it much anymore, but instead I have it hanging on the back of my bedroom door so that when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I see is this yellow sweater with a big smile on it to spread some morning happiness. So these were my most worn knits and a few additional favorites that I don't wear as often. Thank you for watching.